Hi, it's Kelly here with Move Redmond, and we are doing candidate ride-alongs. Can you please introduce yourself, let us know what position you're running for, and what inspired you to run?
Thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Jeralee Anderson. I am currently council member in position seat 6, and I'm running for re-election. Next year, I'm looking forward to another term to continue our work on housing, housing stability, transportation and infrastructure, and environmental sustainability. And I'm looking forward to today's conversation. Thank you so much for having me.
So what's your preferred way to get around Redmond?
I love walking in Redmond. It is something I do for my own mental health, and it is enjoyable to walk around the city and meet people and see all the stores and those kinds of things. Yeah.
Right. If you're reelected, what are your priorities for transportation on Redmond City Council?
Oh, that's a great question. So super exciting things have happened while I've been on council. One of them is the Transportation Benefit District. And so putting funds into maintaining our streets has gotten really positive feedback, getting that set up to accommodate transportation projects within the city, which includes pedestrian and bicycle facilities. The other thing that we've done recently was we changed to a local in-house concrete, so we can do some sidewalk repairs a lot easier than major contracts. So I think you're going to see in the next term, the next 4 years, you'll see a lot of really positive changes on the street infrastructure in the city, making it more walkable, bikeable, and essentially more engaging and vibrant city. Super excited about those ones. What else did you ask me? Oh yeah, and the light rail. I should say the light rail too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Light rail is going to be bringing a lot of people to the city, and so understanding that we'll be doing you'll see a lot of changes in Redmond Town Center, the connections within the city. I think that has been it's something we'll really look forward to, especially with our comprehensive plan. On the sustainability side of that, for environmental work, there's a lot of opportunities that come with that funding, as well as our capital improvements program for transportation infrastructure that have been done in collaboration with Sound Transit, as well as regional King County Metro, and making sure that people can get around safely and there's access for everybody.
Yeah. So Vision Zero is the goal to eliminate traffic deaths and serious injuries on our streets. And you were on council as this resolution was passed. What are your plans for implementation of Vision Zero?
That's a great question. So the Vision Zero was one of the top priorities in my first term on council, and it was passed in my second term on council. So that's been really exciting to see sort of the deployment of that policy within the city. Recently, we have gotten some federal funding to do a Safe Streets for All plan to do some road safety planning, which is a requirement to get additional funding, as well as to enable us to do some of these more localized Vision Zero improvements throughout the city. So Vision Zero is to eliminate all deaths and serious injuries from transportation. That's the ideal goal. We've been working with WashDOT as well as King County to make sure that those programs are integrated with each other, because there's data everywhere on how we're doing. And unfortunately, we still do have pedestrian crashes or accidents, and they do happen here in Redmond. So it is something that when it comes to Vision Zero, there's a lot of different things we can try to make things safer. I would love to see residential streets become safer as opposed to pavement swimming pools, which for folks who like pavement is different. It's just a different use of the street area because there's so much space that's unused and it's not so dedicated to cars. But there's a lot of different opportunities within the city for creative, low cost safety improvements. Buffered bike lanes is another one. We did a cycle track project over by Microsoft. So you'll see some more of those as we start experimenting with some of that Vision Zero mindset going forward.
That's great. All right, thank you. So We're really excited about the arrival of light rail in downtown Redmond as we're approaching Marymore Village Station. We have been focused on station access at Move Redmond, helping people get to the station. And we're really curious if you have any ideas about how to help people access light rail who are a little bit further afield in some of the neighborhoods like Idlewood Park or Education Hill.
That is a great question, and it is one of the questions that's been around for a long time. There's two ways to think about this. One is getting folks that are already living here to use transit and get them out of their car. And then second is to make sure that we have station areas that are accessible to folks who don't want to have a car or don't have a car. And I think sounds like those are some things that you guys are working on as well. In general, the goal for accessibility and safety, making sure the stations feel safe. So there's some, making sure our public safety teams are well staffed in the city is really important, and that they're present and available to help. Last time we talked about cleanliness at a stop as a big piece of that, to make sure people feel safe while they're traveling on light rail or going to and from light rail is one of the places that they feel the least comfortable. What's the other thing I had in mind? Oh, so first mile and last mile transportation within the city. We've been doing a lot of programs for things like scooter access, the Lime Bike program, making sure that you have different mobility options throughout the city that are essentially on demand, where you can pick something up about a mile away and get to a light rail station with pretty much as easy as you can. The other thing that's really important for transportation is different connections with transit. So, or other forms of transit more specifically, but Metro Transit and the Sound Transit program to get folks to the stations in Redmond. So Marymore Station, downtown Redmond, and Overlake, making sure that we're not necessarily car focused, but also multimodal focused. So we have lots of different safe ways that people can get to stations.
Yeah, great. Thank you. Funding for transportation is more constrained than it has been in previous years at the federal and state level. If the city of Redmond faced a budget shortfall in transportation projects, what would your approach to solving this problem be?
That's a great question, and I mentioned already the Transportation Benefit District, which is a way that we use sales taxes that are pretty much funded through the development that you're seeing in the city. So they have a high portion of what they're paying to fund the development of infrastructure, which helps us with concurrency, which is the idea that the infrastructure should match the speed of housing in the city. So that's a really important fix. So we've done some things within the city to facilitate the absence or shortage of funding at the federal level. Federal funding a lot of times also means that there's a lot of collaboration with the state legislature and our congressional representatives to get these high priority projects. So you'll see some bigger projects with federal funds most of the time. The Safe Routes to School program, I believe, is still ongoing as well. And understanding that in shortage times, then it's about prioritizing projects. The city council has been really prioritizing pedestrian and bicycle projects. It's been a big change within the last 4 years of council, so that you will still see those connectivity options taking a specific priority to council members, as opposed to these larger projects, which may take longer to build and also cost a lot more money. So sort of the smaller projects, maybe we could do more projects because they're less expensive, and still have that positive outcome. We get a lot of questions for things like facilities around parks, the Idlewood Park area, and there's just been a good amount of priority areas throughout the city that help improve the livability of the city near those areas.
Yeah. If there's a particularly contentious project, how would you approach dealing with that in the community?
Oh, that's a great question. I'm trying to think if there's a contentious project that is transportation related. Well, first is to listen to the community members that show up to the council meetings. So we do hear from folks that have opinions and or expertise to offer that they'll come and share. And honestly, working with the community members where those projects are at, door knocking is one strategy to get information from folks, to ask what they need and what would help in that specific location. So ultimately, if we're building projects, we need to make sure that they're serving the needs of the folks that live there or will be living there, and that they're future ready. So understanding that the options available to those folks may be constrained by the space that's available. So maybe we only have, we have many streets in Redmond with only one sidewalk on one street. So you work with both property managers, the public works team, and do some work to understand what the needs are, what the constraints are for those projects, and then really ultimately hear what the community says, make sure that what they say gets embedded into the plans for those projects, and then ultimately at the end of that, ask them how it's going and was it what they wanted. So I think, the process for the city to talk through the needs on a project level, I have not actually really seen that as much, but it's also something where a lot of people are at work during the day, not available to have those conversations with us, but it doesn't mean that those conversations are not valuable or that we would not try to actively seek that out in a different way.
So, thank you. How would you ensure that transportation planning in Redmond reflects the needs of people of all ages, incomes, and abilities?
Well, I could say we just do that, but honestly, that's a work area where all of transportation struggles with that right now, and changing the shift to make sure everything feels inclusive and actually is inclusive has been a real challenge. That's the nature of the work, but it can always change. The stress at the federal level is also going to be a real big challenge for us. So what I would say, given that circumstance, is that what we are trying to prepare for is maintaining that baseline of what we have now, to get better engagement, but also continuing to find out different ways to engage with a very diverse community that we do have in Redmond, that do have multiple needs for access. That includes things like we had a shuttle program to pick up folks at some of our assisted living facilities to bring them to transit, to get them out in the town. That it includes scooter program, which is new. It includes these other micro mobility options. So I think that overall that is a large challenge. One of the programs that I really like is something called the Mobility Board at the King County Metro program. I would love to see something like that in Redmond. That program actually pays people for their time to ensure that there's a diverse perspective, because in order to get a diverse group, sometimes you have to take people out of their day job or provide daycare or some other options to make sure that those opinions are heard, recorded, and then actually action in the work that we're doing. And that it does sound like it takes a lot of effort, but that is so meaningful when the outcome is a positive space that people can use effectively within the city.
Great. All right.
If you can't tell, I'm a transportation nerd. So
join the club. We are participating in America Walks' challenge, the Week Without Driving. This is from September 29th to October 5th. We're encouraging elected officials, decision makers, and community members to participate in the challenge. And we would love to know if you will be able to participate in this year's Week Without Driving.
I'm all in, and I have a question for you.
Yeah.
So is there a goal of something like counting your steps or miles of riding or anything like that? Are there other challenges embedded within the challenge?
This year Move Redmond is doing daily challenges for the Week Without Driving. You can check it out at our website. And we have a challenge every single day. So if folks can't participate in the entire week, they can try to do a daily challenge. And we also have a Week Without Driving bingo. And if you fill out the entirety or get a bingo, you can get a prize with our partners from Go Redmond. We also are having a walk and talk on Thursday, October 2nd, starting at the Redmond Senior and Community Center. We'll be walking to the light rail station and talking about the access and projects that have been recently implemented, are planned, as well as the trail access from the community center. So we'd also invite you to join us for that event.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm excited about Week Without Driving this year. I've done it before off off schedule because I committed to it and I promised you I'd do it. And then it ended up being the next week after that. So I didn't get to enjoy all that fun, but I'm looking forward to it. And I was going to count my steps. And if you'd like to compete with Councilmember Anderson on more steps.
All right, more steps.
It's probably going to be pretty easy.
And then our last question is there anything else that you would like to share with us about your council priorities, either related to transportation or connected to transportation in some way?
Sure. I love the idea of environmental sustainability, and that's one of the fundamental things about transportation that's really unique, is that there's so many opportunities to think about how you get around in the city in different ways. A lot of people are very familiar with green buildings because that's, you go from your home to a work or workplace and hope for a clean and healthy feeling environment. And it's the same for our transportation infrastructure. In Redmond, we've been changing some of our, actually it's coming up this next month, I think. We're doing a revision of our environmental sustainability action plan, which is a really comprehensive plan for all city services, all of our, we have a climate emergency goal that involves buildings, it involves infrastructure and pedestrian and bicycle facilities, as well as sort of reducing our carbon emissions throughout the city. So when it comes to how the city feels, and coming to Redmond should allow you to understand that the city is committed to environmental sustainability. So it will look healthy, it'll feel healthy to walk around, they'll making sure the city sidewalks are clean and repaired and safe, and potholes are filled, the sort of the common things that you hear about on a city council. It's also less noisy. Those are some different ways to think about how you interact with these roads or streets and sidewalks and trails within the city, so people can get around, live, work, and play here, and essentially have a positive experience within the city. So I think that's a huge part of sort of my my mantra personally, and what I believe in. And climate change is not something that we can ignore anymore, and we actively have been working on that on the council. I'm very proud of the work that we've done here. I'm excited to see the progress of I think 4 or 5 years of a sustainability action plan, some of our progress on our climate action goals, the commitments that we've made in the comprehensive plan from last year should start showing up in the next 2 to 3 years as well for our building facilities. So there's a lot of great things to look forward to, a lot of things to learn from, as some of the commitments that we've made doesn't happen overnight most of the time with change, especially in transportation. There's also really a lot of great projects. The light rail is going to be a game changer for the city. So understanding when that connection goes to downtown Seattle will be a really important thing to be prepared for within the city. I'm really hopeful that our public safety staff will be ready for the job. I don't think they're not ready for anything, but I think it's important to make sure that we've got funding for that. We've got funding set aside for making sure that we can sustain the level of service that we do have within the city, for sure. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to ride along with us and do a little interview. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thank you, Kelly. Thank you, Maritza. Yeah.